Hello everyone. I am Kajol Shah, the communications expert at the Next Genius Scholarship Program, and we have Abir Chawla, our scholar to TCU, today with us, who will be talking about his journey and his experiences at TCU. So, firstly, congratulations, Abir, on your graduation. We all are very proud of you, and I would like you to now give your brief introduction, talk about your transition from India to USA, like high school to college, and also about your life on campus.
Oh, sounds good. So, hey guys, my name is Abir Chawla. I went through the whole Next Genius program in 2018 and got a scholarship to TCU, which is a private university based in Fort Worth, Texas. And I think for me, the transition was pretty smooth for the most part. Growing up in Mumbai, India, like I was exposed to like the metropolitan culture that's present here in Mumbai. So I'd been to the US a couple of times before that. So I'd kind of like, I just knew what to expect when I decided that TCU would be the best place for me to get my undergraduate degree, which I got in finance at the Neely School of Business inside at TCU. So I think one of the biggest and this wasn't like too big, but one of the challenges, at least for me, was I went from Mumbai, which is this place where you get everything at your fingertips and everything's really close by, just given the density of the whole city. I went from Mumbai to like a town called Fort Worth, which is near Dallas, but at the same time, it's not very big and it's kind of spread out as things in Texas usually are. So I know when we first got there, we ended up going to a place called Target, which is a retailer very popular in the US, but there was not one near campus. So we actually ended up walking somewhere like an hour or something just to get to Target because at that point we didn't have a domestic card. So once we got that, obviously there was Uber and Lyft available, which made life easy. But otherwise, I think other than that, TCU made it like extremely pleasant for international students to come there. We had some like pickup services. There was a special orientation for international students, and then we had something called frog camps, which is where we basically get together with a bunch of like other freshman students at TCU, and we spend like 2 days just getting to know our class better, and also getting exposed to Fort Worth and like TCU in general. So once we had orientation and everything taken care of, then we kind of just like settle into like our dorms. At TCU, the first 2 years, it's compulsory to stay on campus, which, in my opinion, at least as an international student, is great because we usually don't have cars. So, like, staying on campus and being close to all the facilities is like really helpful. I actually ended up just becoming a resident assistant at the end of my first year, so that involved me like staying on campus for basically the entirety of my 4 years at TCU, which, like I said, like I didn't have a car until 2 months ago. So for me, that was really good because, that really shortened all the commutes and etc. etc. And I think what made it easier was also the fact that there was some like very good like food options in and around campus. We have something known as Market Square, which is like a big cafeteria where you have like multiple different cuisines available. There were times when there were Indian dishes there as well, so that was very good, like gave us a flavor from back home. And then there were also other like fast food options available close by. Some of my friends were vegetarian, but they also like found options in and around like the campus. Although it was like a little bit more challenging for them, but they still had some options. And then there was like an Indian store like 20 minutes away. So if we ever wanted like something from there, we would just like take a quick Uber there and buy the supplies that we needed. But yeah, I had a great experience at TCU. I think the Neely School of Business is like one of the best business schools in and around Texas and also like in US. So I had like a very good experience there, just getting exposed to like finance in general and also, like landing an internship that eventually like led to my full-time job after graduation.
That is amazing. You really had you experienced everything in your 4 years. So moving on to my next question is that you must have, won various accolades, or maybe you must have had your achievements that you would like to share, or any special experience that you want to share with our audience. So please go ahead and share that.
Yeah, I think for me, one of my like biggest achievements, or like just I think something that I really felt good achieving was getting into the Needy Fellows program, which is a 3-year business honors program where they select the top 30 students in the business school. And just to give you an idea of the size, there's around like 700 to 800 students in like every year in the business school, and they select the top 30, and then we actually take the same, like we take a class, like every business class basically with the same like 30 students, like specifically for the core business classes. And like growing up, like I'd gone to an international school, so my cohort, like in my international school, had only like 30-35 people. So this again was very similar to that experience that I'd already had. And then in this like business honors program, we took honors classes at the same time as like those business classes, so they kind of double dipped. And as a person also part of the John V. Roach honors college, this kind of made my life easier since I didn't have to take specific honors classes, since the business classes kind of just satisfy that. And at the same time, we got exposed to like a lot of different opportunities both inside the classroom and outside the classroom that a normal Neely School of Business student doesn't get exposed to, just because the business school recognized that the 30 students in each class in the Neely Fellows like the best at what they're doing in their respective sub majors, so like finance, marketing, entrepreneurship, supply chain, etc. And we were able to like take trips. So like I went to San Francisco with the group just to like visit different companies. So we visited tech companies there: Google, Lyft, Pinterest, such. And like I wasn't personally interested in that, but like my trip was still very like memorable, just because I got to hang out with my like fellow batchmates and also kind of interact with like professors and faculty inside the classroom, which honestly for me was great, because one of the people also on that trip was the head like of the career center at the Neely School of Business, and I got to know her really well, which kind of translated well when I was like recruiting for internships, or like got into this other program called the Tip Board. So I think the fellows program for me was like the cornerstone of my experience at TCU, and like really formed the basis of like the business degree that I got.
That is great, great. So as you said that you got similar experience like to your school with 30 students, but of course those 30 students must have included different kind of students from different cultures and traditions. So how it is, like what it is to be like to be an international student on campus, like what all opportunities you get as an international student?
Yeah, so I think at least for me, the best part about being an international student at TCU was that I got the same opportunities that a lot of the domestic students got, right? Like a lot of the Americans on campus. I didn't feel at any point that I was being limited in like what I could do or what I couldn't do. Just from the fact that I was an international student, and like especially like there's other places in the US where like there's certain restrictions, or like more like restrictions on international students. But like at TCU, I think the faculty and staff like made it like as much as they could, like just made it a very equitable like experience between the Americans and the international students. And then at the same time, we also had like a dedicated, obviously, international like student service center, where like we had a couple of like staff members that were there if we like needed help with anything, or like if we needed to get a I-20 signed or so on and so forth. And then I also thought that at times that they like valued like the different like perspectives that international students like came in with, right? Like in the classes, like the professors would like always welcome us to like share our experiences. Like there were times when we were studying like international business, and as a person who had like seen businesses being run outside the US, like the professor valued like my like experience and my viewpoints and so on and so forth. So I just thought that as an international student, not only do you get everything that an American student like gets at TCU, but like you also get to like share your own experience, which as an American, like a lot of Americans tend to stay in the US, like some of them haven't like visited countries outside the US, so like you get to like share your own experience on top of things that you're kind of like gaining in the US.
Okay, That is great. Like, of course, opportunities when they are given equally, you shine more brightly. So, as you said, that professors welcome your views, your opinions, your experiences. They let you share all those things. So, I'm sure that there must be like hands-on academic support and good faculty advisors as well. So, how was your experience overall with the staff and faculty and professors?
Yeah, so I had a great experience, right? Like I said, on the trip to San Francisco, I got to know the head of the career center really well, and like generally, there have been times when people might have had to like wait up to like 1 or 2 weeks to like maybe get an appointment with her or something, just given how busy she is. But like I could literally just text her on like iMessage or something, and like just like if it was a simple question, ask her right then and there, or I could literally just walk into her office and like just ask her questions, right? Like I got to develop that kind of a relationship with the head of the career center, which for me was tremendous because there were times when she ended up being like the point of contact between me and someone I wanted to like network with. Similarly, like for the head of the Neely Fellows program, right? Like I could just like speak with her like whenever I wanted, and she was always there to like help. As a part of the fellows program and also like the chancellor scholars program, like I also got to like go to like Chancellor Victor Boschini's house multiple times for like meals, and not everyone at TCU like gets to do that. So like I think I got like a great experience just being exposed to like senior leadership both inside the Neely School of Business but also like at TCU, and like there were so many times when if I needed help with anything, like the faculty and staff members were there to like kind of just help me. Like for example, um there's like a week up until when like you can change the classes that you're enrolled in at the beginning of any semester, but like I needed to make a change to my schedule after that week had passed. But I just reached out to the assistant dean of the Neely School of Business, and she was like more than happy to like help me on my request, right? So like stuff like that, you don't look at it a lot when you're looking at universities, but I think these are the kind of the things that differentiate and personalize any like university. And I think for me that was great at TCU because like I said, like so many times at like odd hours I needed help and there were people that were ready and willing to help me, right? So I think that's great from a personal development point of view.
That is amazing to know that personalization is something that you feel that should be looked upon when you are looking out for universities, because there are students who will be looking at this interview, knowing your experience and maybe choosing the college according to your perspective, looking at your perspective. So that is great. That is a great point that you shared, that how to decide the college. So of course, as you said, that you made a very good relationship with your head of center of career guidance. So what kind of relationship internships were you able to get access to, or what kind of exposure did you get, like big companies, small companies? What was it?
Yeah, so I think for me it was kind of pretty structured. So I knew from an early point in my like undergraduate like experience that I wanted to pursue finance, but not only finance. I was interested in investment banking, and investment banking is generally like very highly structured in terms of like the recruiting. So accordingly, like TCU's also come up with a program known as a TIP board program, which is like transactions and investment professionals program, where they kind of help you recruit for different like investment banking roles, right? And in we applied the program in the middle of our sophomore year, and sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we applied to that program at the middle of our sophomore year, got in, and then in that program we get paired with mentors who are working in investment banking already. They're usually they're TCUM alums that are already working in investment banking, and then you kind of just like practice your technical like interview skills and just interview skills in general. You also start networking with people and so on and so forth. So I kind of just went down that path, and in that experience like I was able to like that get interviews at like some pretty big name firms. I was interested in energy investment banking, which is based out of Houston, right? Like that's the hub for energy investment banking. And in energy investment banking, we basically or like the banks advise energy companies. So Exxon Mobil or like Chevron or like if you're looking from an Indian point of view, something like a Reliance or an ONGC or like a Bharat Petroleum or something like that, on various capital raises and also like mergers and acquisitions. And you are also like advising energy transition companies. So nowadays there's capture technology that kind of just helps reduce the carbon emissions and so on and so forth. So I knew that I was interested in this because I really liked being in Texas, and this was based in Houston, so it kind of fit well with me. So in Houston, I interviewed at two places. Like I interviewed at Citi and I interviewed with Jeffries. And honestly, like Jeffries was my number one preference because it's like a very, very technical bank, but also like over the past 10 years, it's ranked number one in energy investment banking. So based on league tables, which is what you used to like see whether an investment bank is good or not, and Jeffries was basically the best at like energy investment banking. So I networked with TCU alums at Jeffries, and honestly like the fact that like I was able to do that was extremely helpful because one day before like my final round interview, like one of the TCU alums volunteered himself to like speak to me and like just kind of help me prep for that like final round interview at Jeffries. And his insights were extremely helpful in like being able to like like do really well at the Super Day. And I did do well at the Super Day, right? Like I got the offer for the internship. Then I ended up like spending like one summer interning with them, and at the end of that internship, like last year, I got the offer for full time, which I accepted because like I said, Jeffries is like the best in energy investment bank, and also I had a really good experience with them, so it only made sense for me to accept that. So like I wouldn't have been able to like interview at Jeffries if it wasn't for TCU, right? Because the Tipboard program helped me prepare, and then the TCU alum kind of like helped seal the deal for me. So
amazing to know this, that from faculty, staff, your professors to career guidance cell to your alums, everyone is there to help students at TCU to carve their career path and go ahead and achieve their dreams. So yes, we had a lot of like serious kind of talks like, okay, this is the career, this is the college, but I also want to know about your favorite spot on campus, your favorite food, and how is it like to have this fun college life at TCU.
yeah, definitely. So I think one of the biggest things, I guess like my favorite spot on campus was probably like the football stadium. So by football, I mean like the American football stadium. And obviously before I came to TCU, like I didn't know how they played American football, right? But like once I got here, I realized football was like a big part of college life in US in general, but specifically at TCU too, because we are a Division 1 school, which means we play in like the top level of like sports, right? So it's like a very competitive environment in general, but it's also like extremely fun from a student perspective. So our stadium can like fit up to like 55,000 people. So it's a very, very big stadium. And it's just very fun because every Saturday during the fall, like season, or like the fall season, basically like we have football games. And it's very fun because you kind of just go with your friends, you get to like cheer TCU on. There's like a lot of different events that go on that day that kind of just help from a social perspective, like before the game and also after the game. And I really like sports, and I've like gotten to really like American football as well. So for me, that was like one of the things that I love doing every fall. And one of the things that I'm like kind of hopeful I still get to do. I'm planning on going back to campus this fall and attending like one of the games. So hopefully I get to like hang out with friends and also like cheer on like the TCU football team again. And then from a food perspective, there's this place near campus where they have like chicken tikka tacos, which obviously I think as an Indian it's always like really good to like have Indian food when you've not had it for a very long time. And that was just kind of a good mix between Mexican food but like also Texan food. And then like obviously the chicken tikka, like the flavoring is like Indian, right? So like that I used to really like that, and a lot of my friends would also like that restaurant. And then the second like place would probably be, there was this like wings place on campus where they had chicken wings, and like every Wednesday my friend and I would like go there and like have the chicken wings. There was this like specific combination, which was like Parmesan garlic, and there's this medium sauce, which is like kind of spicy, like not really spicy for Indians, but it's supposed to be spicy for Americans. So like you mix like both of those together and then have them with the chicken wings. So like those, like I really like Buffalo Bros, which was like the name of the chicken wings place, and I actually like went back to TCU last weekend, and that was the first thing I had when I went back. So I really like that as well.
That is great. Of course, along with studies and along with all the hands-on experience, internship, all these things are something that we remember when we look back to our college journey. So, as we come to the end of this, conversation, I would like to know if you have any words for your juniors who are listening or who are going to listen to your conversation and maybe participating in next genius scholarship program this year. So any encouraging words or maybe something that you want to share with them?
Yeah, I would just say that um, I was just going through the list of the colleges today, and I think it looks like a great list of colleges that the Next Genius program has put together. I would say honestly, it's extremely important that you kind of like just break these colleges down on a granular level, right? Like TCU wasn't a university that I had heard of before at my time. I think probably the most popular college on the list was like University of Rochester or something like that, like 4 years ago, right? But I kind of just broke every university down on like, okay, what does it have to offer to me? Like, does it have like, is it good for the major that like I'm interested in, and so on and so forth, and then just break it down that way and then see where you're the best fit. Because I know people that have like gone to the best like on paper universities, but they've not had a very good experience. And like for me, like TCU isn't like on paper, it's not like a it's not an Ivy League college or something like that, but for me, like I was able to make that experience myself just because I kind of did that research beforehand. So like for anyone that's kind of going through the whole Next Genius program, like make sure you're like doing your own research to see whether it's a good fit or not. Like when I first heard of TCU, I'm like, I'm never like applying to that place, and like I'm never going to go there. But then I got to know TCU well, and I was like, okay, this is actually like a really good place, right? And like 4 years later, if I had to do it all over again, I would pick TCU again too. But TCU may not be the best fit for you, right? So like just do that research for yourself to like see whether some university is a good fit for you or not. And if it is, then like don't get limited just by maybe like the name or like maybe what its ranking is. Because yeah, like for example, at Jeffries right now, I'm with people that are from Harvard or from like Wharton and stuff, right? And like they went to Wharton, but they're at the same company that I am at right now. So like it's basically about what you make of like your experience, and just do your own research.
That is great advice. Like we always emphasize on, finding a good fit for yourself, because ultimately that is what is going to help you in your life and not the ranking or not where your friend is going. So yes, it was great having conversation with you, Abir, and listening to all your experiences. And again, we wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors. And yeah, thank you for joining in today.
Thanks, Kajol.